Hey, good morning, everybody. Sarasota Tim coming to you from the McDonald's parking lot out here. I already drank my coffee. And let me tell you, I just want to, no offense, okay? No offense. But Lord Almighty, am I glad I am retired. I just can't believe the rat race out here of people going to these prison jobs. Now, when I worked for 33 years in my own business, after I was in the car business for 17 years, I've never even had to deal with getting out here in the traffic. Even when I worked, because I worked for myself and my job was soliciting business, making sales calls, and all of these stores in the shopping center, except for business parks, they get to work early. So I started every day at 10 a.m. and I worked for an hour or two, whatever, because I was able to knock out a few sales that made me enough money to live. And that's all I wanted to work. And I wanted to go home and play golf or do what I wanted, go to the beach, whatever. But it was basically, I've been semi-retired since I got in my own business 33 years ago. Well, that's not really true, because in the very beginning of my 33-year career I had in the marketing business, I worked for someone that came around soliciting in the neighborhood where I lived, asking me to buy the thing that I sold. And I was in the car business at that time, and I said, for the last 2 or 3 years in the car business, I was wanting to get out of it so bad. It was feast or famine. It was just, you were constantly leaving one dealership, going to another. But moving on, after I got out of the car business and I went to work for myself, and they came around selling this coupon deal for automotive services, I said, no, I don't want to buy one of those. I'd like to sell them. And I've told the story before, and the guy said, okay, well, we'd love to have you. Tomorrow, we'll come by in a van. We have a crew of guys. We'll pick you up, and we'll go out soliciting a neighborhood or a business park. And at the time, only certain guys that were good could go into stores, commercial business. Otherwise, we went to houses. Now, most people weren't home, and if they were home, it was a housewife, or if you're lucky to find somebody had their day off. So it was kind of tough, because most doors you went to, nobody answered. But anyway, he said, you will walk around with somebody for a while, for a day, however long it takes, until you hear the sales pitch, the little thing that we say, and then you try it. And that's how you begin. And that's how they train anybody for any kind of a job. You're on the job training, whether it be a waitress, door-to-door sales, whatever. So I asked if I could do it, within 30 minutes. I said, let me try it. I think I can do it better than you can. And the rest is history. And I became his top guy. And the point of me telling you this is my hours were a lot more when I worked for him, because he wanted to make a lot of money, the guy that owned the business, like I ended up doing. And so he had everybody go out for like a 3-hour solicitation shift, and then he would pick everybody up. Everybody would walk out to the main road from the neighborhoods they were going around knocking on doors, and he would scoop you up in like this little Astro minivan. Remember those? Meanwhile, he's sitting at some sports bar or whatever, yammering on his phone and doing whatever, smoking cigarettes, drinking Cokes or whatever. And we're out there making him money. We're the peons, making ourselves money too. And then he would pick us up, and it would be lunchtime, and he would take us and buy us lunch. And that was kind of like something we looked forward to. So we'd go to lunch for like an hour, hour and a half, and then right back out, he would drop us off just like an airplane dropping off parachuters. He'd go down the road a few blocks. This guy would get out, go down quarter of a mile or whatever, and drop off this gal and this guy. And he'd have us all down through this neighborhood. And then we would just start going down the streets on both sides, knocking on doors until a certain time. And then we would walk back to the main road where we'd be standing there. And here he would come in the Astro van and pick us up and want to know how much money we made him, how many sales we made, which we made money ourselves too. And we could collect cash, checks, or credit cards. We had a way of taking credit card too. So I did that for 2 years of the 33 years that I was in that business. And I became I just became, because I was very good at it. I believed in it. I couldn't take no for an answer. I couldn't understand why anybody wouldn't do the deal. It's such a good deal. You got a whole year of free car services and 3 free oil changes for $40. Because of my, belief in it, and that's true when they say if you really believe in what you're selling, you're going to do a lot better than if you're trying to peddle something that you don't believe in. And so one day I said to myself, I'm getting half. He paid us half of the $45. He kept the other half. But he's getting half from like 6 different salespeople. And whatever they sold every week, he collected half. And we collected half of what we sold only. So I started doing a little thing. I'm going, hey, wait a minute. Why don't I get 6 salespeople and I go drop them off, plus go sell myself instead of sitting at some sports bar, and I can make a fortune. So the first, I forgot, it's so long ago. I've been doing this so long. I can't believe I did this business twice as long as I was in the car business, and I still feel more like a car guy than I did as an advertising guy. And I did it twice as long. Anyway, the first couple of years I tried to hire salespeople, and I quickly found out that whether it's perfume sales, pots and pans, encyclopedias, coupons, whatever it is you've ever seen somebody come to your office or your door and peddle, that hiring people to do it is extremely difficult. It's much easier just to go out and sell it yourself if you're good at it than to try to get other people to do it, because most people suck. Most people can't fight their way out of a paper bag. They can't close a barn door. I mean, you got people that are working in Best Buy and car dealerships and, BJ's, you go in there, they got a guy trying to sell windows and different things when you walk out. They got all of these people that sell to people that come in to them, that call in or walk into a store, and they do pretty good. A lot of them do good. I'm not going to say a lot of them don't. But when it takes you to go out and get in your car and go solicit business, whether it be into a business or to a house, making phone calls, that's the worst. Telemarketing, I can't even see how anybody does that. Everybody just hangs up on you because it's all spam today, and that business has to be out. Like encyclopedias. Nobody does it anymore, or pots and pans, because it was the old days. But there used to be, and I did do it. I did another thing door to door. It was called a photography plan, but I won't go into all that. That was at the same time the encyclopedia guy and the pots and pans guy was going around, and the perfumes guy. So, but to have the initiative, the fortitude, to literally get in your car and go out and shake the bushes and make sales calls and do and sell and collect and make a living, you're special. So I'm special. God gave me that ability. Just like when you've ever met a very good handyman or a great electrician or auto mechanic that you just love to go back to because he knows what he's doing. I know what the heck I'm doing when it comes to contacting anyone that requires communication skills, that requires selling myself, that requires showing all the things that I believe in, whether it be a cellular service, the coupon deal, when I go in to buy a car, the fact that I was in that business 17 years and they know in very short order, not a salesman, because you know what kind of car salesman we have today? Let me just talk about it for a second. They are not, very few from my day. Those guys are gone. The dealerships don't even want them because we know too much. And the dealerships are literally ripping off the car salesman today. The car salesmen today are order takers. They generally hire people they prefer that's never sold a car in their life because they don't want them to know, because of the people paying what the dealerships want now, and they don't need a salesman to sell that product for the most part, like a Lexus dealer. People want that car. People do a lot of research. They watch YouTube and they get all excited like I did about the Cadillac and other cars, and they just want it. And they go in there and the Lexus dealer says, well, you got to pay this price. There's no haggling with us because 10 people behind you want it. So this is what it is. And that dealer fee and all that. Things have changed. They don't have as much inventory. They create a shortage. Ever since that pandemic, and they started getting $5,000 and $10,000 over sticker, that ruined it. That ruined them. And they're like, if we got that kind of a profit in the pandemic days and had to pay the salesman 30% of the profit we made on each car, which is what I used to make, minimum 25. So if we made $1,000 on a car, I made $250. And that was sort of like a mini deal. Now, during the pandemic, they're making $5-10 grand on a car. You think those dealerships, those greedy dealerships, want to give a salesman whatever 30% of $3 grand for a commission? Heck no. They did in the beginning because, that's the plan they were already on. And they were like getting together thinking, man, how can we get rid of these salespeople? How can we stop paying them what we were paying them because we want to keep all that money? That's exactly what happened. So they came up and they just basically axed everybody. And they said, new program, folks. Sorry about it. We're not going to pay you what you were getting because we want it. We will give you a flat. And maybe it was generous in the beginning during the pandemic and give them like $500 a car. And now what they have is they have a plan. The best I understand it, when I last asked a salesperson, is they get paid both from the car dealer and they get paid from the manufacturer. A Hyundai salesman told me this when I had leased a couple of Hyundais, that they do get a commission and a percentage, but it's nowhere near what I used to get from the dealer. That hasn't changed. They get a commission where they work. And then to make it good for them and hope they, see it, is Hyundai will send them a check at the end of the month based on how many they sold and how good of a QDS, quality delivery service, or that thing they ask you after you buy a car and they beg you to give them a 10 on everything. That's because if they can get that, even if they didn't do that good of a job, they ask you still and plead with you. And the dealer gets a bonus too. The management does. A little thing from the manufacturer because they're trying to keep owner loyalty to Toyota, Honda, Hyundai, Lexus, Cadillac, all of them. They give you that survey. And if you can get a perfect or just under perfect, you get some money. And the reason the manufacturer's doing it is because they really hope that these dealerships selling their products will cause loyalty to grow. And that way when people, because most people lease today these expensive cars, that they will want to stay with the same. It's about owner loyalty. And it's different now. In my day, you'd buy a Toyota this time, a Honda next time, a Chevy next time. People were just, and you would swear you'd never go back to that dealer because you found out he ripped you off or the service was crap. Nobody cared about customer service after they sold you one. It was only they cared about you before. And so people, even if they didn't buy another product, they wouldn't go back to that same dealer. They would use another Toyota dealer or a different Honda dealer or Chevy dealer. But now they're trying to keep everybody, within their own business because that's the way it is. And so back to the, I got way off. When I was in the car business, then I got into this business for 33 years. I said the first 2 years, I worked a lot of hours. And then I started working 10 o'clock in the morning when these stores open up. I'm in a shopping plaza. I'd go out and I was just good at what I did. And it was my business. Instead of getting half of the $45, now I kept it all. I never gave any of my sales money to these auto repair shops that I sold the coupons for. They got the customer. That was their benefit. They're getting free advertising, and the only thing they're paying is when a customer shows up. They don't spend anything until the guy in the shopping center I sell one of these coupons to goes there and asks for a free service that was on the coupon. And now the auto center has a customer in his office, in his bay, that he can be nice to and then earn his business by getting him to come back because he gave him a very nice service, a free service. Or maybe the guy even asked him, could he fix this issue he already has? Or the service department advised him of some services that were needed, legitimate services, because if you just get them in there and try to just sell them, they're never going to come back. They're going to use you for the free stuff and say, that was a gimmick, and never come back. And I explain all this to these auto centers when I contract with them, like, don't be trying to do that, or this will be the worst thing you ever did. But if you just do the services and let them leave and let them think, man, that was great. They didn't try to sell me anything. I got an oil change. They were very nice. The place was great. The man looked like he knew what he was doing. If I ever need anything, I'll go back there. So I won because I made $45 and they didn't cost me much at all to print these little coupons. I mean, under $1. So it was pure, very lucrative. The customer won because they forked out $45 and went in there the very first visit and got their oil change and their tire rotation, and their money was given back. And they still had all these other services to use for a year to go back to the same place. And if they were treated well, they did. So they got a whale of a deal, like $400 value that we represented it as being. And it was. But it was mostly labor with a little bit of oil. And the car repair center, they won because they were getting people to come in for free services that were in their neighborhood that were oblivious to them even being in business there. And that's true. Any business, I used to go in and tell them, you got people in your back door that don't even know you're here. And they would all agree. Yep, you're absolutely right. And people aren't going to drive from the other side of town to come in here. Your business, for the vast majority, is going to come from around 5 miles around you that discover you, or through word of mouth. And they would say, he or she, if they own the business, I have had a lot of female dealers, car repair center owners, a few. They would say, yes, you're right. And I would say, well, here's what I can do for you. I can go out and introduce your constituents to your business, and all you got to do is be nice to them and offer some labor services. And, I'm going to take care of the cost of printing all these coupons. I'm going to go out at no charge to you and knock on doors and introduce everybody in a very professional and ethical manner. And even if they don't buy it, I was at least nice to them and left them a business card of your business. And they just got this like, wow, you seem nice. You're well presented and you articulate yourself well. I want you as my rep. Get out there and do it. And so I did for 33 years. And I made a very, very good living, and I saved my money. I was always a roommate. I didn't have any overhead. I was single most of my life. I drive a nice new car and golf, work on my tan at the beach, travel. And so I've been, the point of this video, retired essentially, not even semi, because when I did after the first 2 years of working for the other guy and learning the business, and because I got the whole thing and not half, I worked half the time or less. I don't think I went out there for 3 hours ever because I was pretty good at it. And I never worked 5 days a week. I would work, couple 3 because it was all I needed. I made enough in my overhead, or my nut, I used to call it, from the car business. We used to have all these lingo sayings is, what's your nut? That means how much does it cost you to live every month? I had a low nut. And so a low nut to crack is what we used to say. But the point of this video was this morning, I'm out here early and I got out before the sun came up and I made a video and had a cup of coffee with you guys and talked about wireless and whatever, once I got all hopped up like I am now. And it was like they opened the gates. And I say this respectfully. And everyone hit their key and their ignition at the same time, all within 5 minutes it seemed like. And poof, they're in the roads, they're in the McDonald's, they're at the gas station, they're at 7-Eleven, they're at Wawa, they're at the red lights, they're on the highways, they're just jammed. They still got their lights on. They're putting their makeup on. They're aggravated. I gotta go to that prison job. This guy is not going fast enough. Blowing their horns. Some people are going, I'm making a lot of money today. I can't wait to get there. I don't know how many. But most people are going to these prison jobs and they're like, I wish I didn't have to get up, put makeup on, take a shower, get dressed. I wish I was still laying in my bed. I wish I could just get out here and go grab a cup of coffee and go take a walk on the beach. What are these people looking at out here? I wish I would be doing anything but going to this prison job. And while I had to work, I didn't have a prison job. But at the same time, I got to be honest with you. After 33 years, I didn't want to go out every day. That's why I didn't. And sell and say the same thing and the little pitch that I had about I'm from this auto repair shop and we got this deal and do you want to get it? And they'd all say yes. A lot would say no, but I was very good at getting most people to say yes because why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you buy the thing? The biggest objection I ever got is they thought it was a scam. I mean, some people literally thought, because people are incredulous. No matter how good of a salesman I was, they would just think, there ain't no way anybody's giving me 3 oil changes and all these free services for a year for $45. And can you blame them? I mean, in the world today where everybody's getting scammed and, people being naturally incredulous and, everybody's different in their mind. So I had plenty of those. I did. Those were the only ones I really missed. If they had common sense or they weren't so incredulous. And I've even had people pick up the phone and call, hey, is this guy out here doing this? Be honest with you, I used to have the auto repair center tell me people would be calling after they bought it just to verify it. Either their coworker would say, oh, you just got ripped off. That guy was a scam. Or they just themselves didn't want to pass it up, but just wanted to make sure. But they wouldn't say no or call in front of me. Some did. Some actually did over the years. But most would wait till after I left. Maybe they were going to cancel their check or whatever they were going to do. But of course, the car repair place would tell them, oh yeah, Tim's good. You're good. We look forward to seeing you. Want to make an appointment? But anyway, I was very, very blessed to have my business that I had. And it's done very, very good for me. I wouldn't change a thing. And yet all the years of my life when I meet people selling or on the golf course or just every day, and they've made very well. I mean, there's a lot of people that's got a lot more money than I do. And there's a lot of people out there that's got a lot more money than you have. And a lot of you out there that watch me have a lot more money than us, because you're one of these people I'm going to describe. You grew up, you didn't necessarily have to go to college, but maybe you did, and you got a professional job, and you got a high-paying job. You became a doctor, lawyer, some kind of professional, accountant, or, things like that. Or you became a business owner, or your parents or your family had one and you inherited it and you worked for them. Or you worked, this is the biggest one, for the county, the city, the government, or a good corporation or business, and you moved your way up and you stayed there for 30 years. And you got 401, your pension, and you're set. I mean, you got not just your Social Security coming in, you got all kinds of checks coming in. You've even got, like some people who work for the railroad, or they got railroad benefits that have a different Medicare thing, or health insurance, even before the age of 65. And you stayed with a job that had a good health insurance. That was important to you. You were a teacher. All the things out there that I didn't do, that I chose from the time I was a little boy, going around peddling and knocking on doors to get people to take the newspaper, to get people to take buy Shackley. You remember that? Fuller brush. And then that photography plan that I'll talk about one time during the encyclopedia, and the pots and pans salesman were out there, guys. We're trying to get to the door before he did. So I've been that kind of a salesman, and that has been my career my entire life. That's who I am. And while I look at these people and meet them daily and think, man, look at this guy, this gal, they're doing good. They're driving a really nice Cadillac. They got a Lexus 350 ES. They're driving a Tesla, Lincoln. They live in this fine home over there where I'm playing golf. I mean, a fine ass home. And you think, how did they accomplish that? Well, they accomplished it by, just like I said, they spent 30 plus years in a prison job. And now, if they are retired and they're just playing golf and all that, then kudos. They're living that great life now. But would I rather go back and put 30 years in and have a better home than my camper? I mean, I could live in an apartment if I want to. Would I want to own all that and still have all that, but have all these checks coming in from pension that goes right back out to property taxes and lawnmower payments? Still having a little bit of money. I'm not saying they don't have any money. Would I still rather have that, or have had the basic freedom I've enjoyed since a very young age when I got out of the car business, working as a slave, working bell to bell. I used to work from 8 in the morning to 9 at night. Bell to bell, we used to call it, because that's what I had to do to ever hopefully get a customer come in, because you were waiting around all day long for someone to come in. If you left when your shift was over and you didn't even talk to anybody, you just did your time there and left. So everybody would usually stay, and the dealership didn't care. Sorry. So anyway, when I got out of that and I got into my own business, and I was able to make money without having to wait for somebody to come in, go out and get the money and put it in my pocket, and I had a low nut to crack, and I could fire myself anytime I wanted, and I've been doing that. I'm 66 years old now, since I was 30 or whatever it was. If you go back, I forget the math. I did it 33 years. I wouldn't change it. I'm not hurting now, and I have been blessed. I did save some money. I didn't have the money in the bank that these people I mentioned earlier, but I had money. I mean, I never wanted to be where I didn't, I got sick or couldn't make my car payment, or, the guy I was roommating with, which happened, lost his house, and I had to go find another roommate. Whenever I moved, it wasn't because I couldn't pay. It was because they lost their house during the 08 and 07 crisis, and people were losing their homes, foreclosures. I had a beautiful place I was living. But he lost his job and couldn't make his mortgage, and so I had to move on. But I wouldn't change it, folks. I have been a very blessed man. Even though I don't have pensions and 401s, I've got Social Security. I saved some money and I'm making money. And I'm still doing the same thing I've been doing, more. Actually less. I actually put more hours in a week doing this than I did when I was selling the coupons. So I'm back to having a prison job. But I didn't have to do what sparked this video that was like, wow, look at these people. Like, I got up, like I said, I'll repeat myself one time. It was dark. I couldn't even make a video because you couldn't see me. I had to turn his dome light on. And then out of like nowhere, boom, all these people were around me in their cars at this crack of dawn hour going to a prison job. And if you're new to my channel, a prison job is your job. If you go and you got to be there at a certain time, and you get a lunch hour, and when that's over, you got to be back there at a certain time, and you got to sit there or be on the job site until a certain time before you can go home. And then you can go home and have dinner, take a shower, and get some sleep. And then the next morning, you got to be back there at a certain time. That, my friends, is a prison job. Now, we say it to be humorous. It's funny. It's just a word. It's just something I make up. I'm not disparaging because we all have to have them if we want any money. If you want that 30-year career to pay off and get that 401, that big pension, I get it. Even if you got to go out and do what I did and sell coupons, you got to do it for a certain time. So those hours every week you've got to be somewhere are hours of the week that you don't get to do. You get rewarded for it, what you want to do. And people that work 40, 50 hours a week or multiple jobs to make a living today, which is sad, unless they want to, think of all those hours at every 5 years, every year, or back in your life when you're my age that you gave away of your life when you were in your prime to an employer. Yes, you got paid, but was it fair? Did you get the fair wage? Did he give you a fortune? Or did he make the fortune? You made him rich or her rich. Likely it's that way. A lot of people did get paid very fair and made very well with their companies. They were the manager. They got a profit sharing, whatever. I'm not saying there's all different aspects, but still you had to put in the time. And you say, well, Tim, that's what you got to do. And you're right. That's why I say at 62, if you can collect Social Security and you've already put in that time, that you should have paid off your debt, you should have saved some money, or put in that money in that 401 or get a pension. And if you don't get any of that, and you were like me, and you worked different jobs all your life, and you didn't stay one place 30 years to earn a pension or a 401, and there's a lot of Americans, millions, that are like that. They've had multiple careers, multiple jobs. They do not get any kind of a retirement. They just have done well at what they do. Maybe you've been an auto mechanic for 100 different places, or a landscaper, or a handyman, or just whatever, electrician. But you didn't stay one place for long enough to earn any kind of a thing later in life. But you made your money. So that's life. And now I'll end the video. I'm just glad I don't have to. I chose this morning to come out early. And I looked around and I just happened to notice, wow, look at all these people. And I know most of them aren't real happy about it, but it's what they got to do. And then guess what? Today, unlike years ago, because of inflation, they're going out doing the same thing, working the same amount of hours, and they're also not getting any more money. Their hourly wage, although it might have gone up a little bit, and because of inflation, what do you think people are complaining about? Gas, food, rent. So they got to be a lot more annoyed going to a prison job because they're getting a lot less money. Maybe they're having to take another prison job just to make ends meet. And that's why we hope that America will change and something can happen. Either they got to pay us, you, a heck of a lot more money every week, or prices have got to come down. How long is it going to be sustainable where prices continue to go up and your income never goes up? If that was the truth for all of your life, well, then everybody would be bankrupt. We'd all be living in the streets, right? So it's going to happen. There has to be some equalizing of cost of living and earnings. And lately, it doesn't seem like there has been. Some people may have gotten an increase, but these people working at McDonald's and stuff, I don't know. But that's it, folks. I hope you're having a great day. I'm going to go, I don't know, crush it.